Hello, my name is Steven Tingus, and I'm the host of Ideagen TV Hollywood, where we talk about diversity and inclusion in the entertainment industry. Thank you for joining us. I am beyond words to have a very special guest with us today. Hasan Minhaj is from my hometown of Davis, California. Little did we know where we would start and where we would be today. Our families are very proud of each of us, and we were fortunate to live in a community that fostered independence, freedom of speech, and support for every member, no matter what their background. Hasan, thank you so much for joining me today. Your schedule is so busy right now, both personally and professionally. And I want to thank you because I feel like you, it's important for us to tell our stories, where we come from, and how we want to see not only the entertainment industry, but how we want to see society change for the better. So thank you so much for being here
Steven, thanks for having me. And for the viewers watching, the little backstory is that both you and I were inducted into the Davis High Hall of Fame. We're the same inductee class. And I wasn't able to make our ceremony. Both my mom and dad were there. They were, blown away, impressed. Apparently, you guys had a very lovely, long conversation.
Yeah.
Steven, you're now close with Hasan Minhaj. Seema, now from her 916 WhatsApp number, always hits me up, gives me updates about you. And so it's just so cool that we got to connect and meet up. And anybody who uses the Davis or Sacramento connection with me, they usually have like a really soft spot in my heart. It's because we're from the forgotten part of Northern California.
Exactly. We're very proud Davisville people. My family was one of the pioneers in Davis, and your family came to Davis, and we all supported each other. Davis is really a melting pot of good-hearted cultures that have always supported each other during the wars and, during the 1980s, 1990s, and beyond. So I want to thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And shout out to the 530.
Shout out to the Blue Devils and to the Aggies.
Yeah. Oh, you're an Aggie alumni as well?
Yep.
Oh, man. I mean, that's a rare connection too. Like, that's a super rare connection. The fact that we both went to DHS and we're both Aggies, that's crazy. That's
crazy. I was DHS 81, Aggie 85, 86, 90, and 94. And I said, I'm getting the hell out of here. I went to the East Coast.
And you went to the Coho one too many times. You're like, all right, I get it. Yeah. You had one too many picnic days.
Oh yeah, too many. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, how did you envision yourself be where you are today as a young kid in Davis.
Yeah. I mean, look, you know, my parents immigrated to Davis. My father came in 1982. He was an organic chemist. He came the way a lot of first generation kind of Asian Americans came over on a student visa. He was studying organic chemistry, worked for the Cal EPA for 35 years, recently retired. So starting in 82 all the way up until a couple years ago.
Right.
And, you know, his vision for me and the vision for myself had nothing to do with entertainment. You know, like most Indian parents, he wanted me to become, he wanted me to get into medicine, you know, be an engineer, that type of thing. And like most kids growing up in Davis, just like most kids in any town in America, my dream was to play in the NBA. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, you want to be a rock star, like a professional athlete. Like, it's the fantasy. And so, growing up when I was at Holmes Junior High or Davis High, even Pioneer Elementary School, the dream was just, you know, playing basketball all day, you know, doing homework to make my parents happy, working at Safeway, you know, to make some part-time money, and just being a kid. That's really what it was. Working in the entertainment industry seemed a million miles away, most likely because of not only geographically where I was, but also just at the time, I didn't have a lot of movie posters and things in Hollywood to look at and say, hey, that's my analog of what I want to be. There were a hell of a lot of analogs out there in dentistry and pharmacy and in medicine, but not that. So that wasn't a dream for me, and that I really thought was possible until I got to college when I was a freshman at UC Davis.
All right. So you went to Pioneer and Holmes as well?
Are you a Pioneer and Holmes kid as well?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is crazy.
I was the first integrated handicap at the time, handicap student in Northern California at Pioneer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. I won't tell you the year because we're in the industry. So.
yeah. I got you. So, no, Steven, listen, man, you look great for 30. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I won't tell you my age. Anyway, it's the Greek going on. So, you know, like the Indian culture, we age well.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally.
So I want to ask you, who inspired you at that magical time to go into entertainment?
You know, it's so funny. I'm glad I'm talking to you about this. Funny enough, it was the FBLA coach and advisor at Davis High. Her name's Jan Takeuchi. Miss T was a critical teacher in my life. I was kind of a smartass my freshman, my sophomore year of high school. Miss Takeuchi kind of could see me, like I love getting up in front of the class. I love cracking jokes. I love throwing spitballs, metaphorically, not literally, but metaphorically from the back of the class. And Ms. T said, look, if you join FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, and you join us in these competitions, we have these competitions where we go to, you can compete in public speaking, and I won't give you detention. And Miss T got me to join FBLA, and she let me, you know, participate in these impromptu speech and debate and FBLA competitions. I did really well, and Miss T actually took the time to say, hey, you're really good at this. Like, you have a talent here. You're naturally very good at this. I hate to say this, you're not very good at basketball, but the passion that you have for basketball, you actually just have a natural gift here. Why don't you take the passion that you have for basketball that isn't quite translating and put it in kind of public speaking and speech and debate? And so I was a public speaking kid, a forensics kid, and I didn't know that was a skill set that would be valuable in show business until I started watching stand-up comedy my freshman year of college. And then I had a moment where I go, oh, stand-up comedy is funny speech and debate.
Right.
You guys are doing forensics. You're just being funny. It's funny forensics.
Yeah. Did you do Laughs Unlimited?
I did the open mic at Laughs Unlimited. I did the open mic at the Sacramento Punchline over by Art.
Punchline.
Yeah. So, again, a hotbed in a very hot location, right above Sleep Train Mattress Center is the Sacramento Punchline, which is a great location.
Yeah, that's where I used to go there. Yeah. Yeah, it's, there's a lot of opportunities that a lot of kids don't know how to go about in that area. But we understood the layout, and that really helped you get your start in being a comedian. And
you know what it was, Steven? I was far enough away from Hollywood, but close enough to it, if that makes sense. So it was still an hour flight or a 5-hour drive. So Hollywood felt forever away, but it was close enough away that it actually was within grasp, but far enough away in the sense that no film or TV executives was going to make the trek up to Sacramento or Davis.
No.
So I could be a big fish in a small pond. And when I was at UC Davis, I started a comedy club called Gridiron Gang. So it was one of the first stand-up comedy clubs on campus. I got to do local shows at the coffee house. Yeah, and so I got to cut my teeth in front of people as I blocked their access to food, and it just gave me thick skin and made me tough. But I also became the local kid on campus who was like, oh, that's Hasan, he's the comedian guy,
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't understand that are interested in the business is that it's really about how you project yourself along with your talent. And the more exposure you get, the more comfortable you get in front of people, makes you very marketable.
Yeah. I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I think I still am in some ways. And so that incubation time was really good for me, man. Like having basically like 18 to 24, having a window of just living in Northern California was really, really good for me. Those 6 years, it was just excellent.
Right. So I wanted to ask you, you've done so much in your brief life so far that has gotten national acclaim, like 2 Peabodys and being on TV, talk shows, and such. In your view, what 2 projects, I know there's at least 5, but what 2 projects are you most passionate about because you were able to be yourself and tell a story, not really a story, but to talk about life and how people can learn from your insights?
Yeah. 2 projects that I'm proud of the most, I would probably say, are Homecoming King and Patriot Act. Those are the 2. Of course, being on the Daily Show was amazing. That really broke me in the industry. So I owe everything to Jon Stewart and Trevor Noah. But I would say the things that personally meant a lot to me were those, just because of how much I poured into them and how much those projects are a reflection of who I am. Like I put everything into Homecoming King. That's my family story, my family's origin story, my life story, all in one 72-minute show. And then Patriot really was kind of like the inside look at my mind and my political analysis and view of the world and of culture. So those 2 projects, man, I put my heart and soul into them. Quite literally put at times my life savings into doing demos and proof of concepts and pilots to get them made. Did a whole off-Broadway run with Homecoming King. So they just really kind of pushed me and tested me. And I'm so glad that they turned out the way they turned out. I'm really proud of them.
I mean, 2 Peabodys. 2 Peabodys, bro. I mean, come on, that's like an Oscar above an Oscar because, that's literary as well. So it's like, it's amazing. And when you were doing those, I know Trevor is really cool and he supports disability as well. But when you were at that stage, how was it pitching those projects?
Yeah. One of the things that I'm very lucky is, we're all beneficiaries of the giants that came before us. And one of the things I think Hollywood and business oftentimes needs is what I call an analog or a previous example. So if someone looks at you, Steven, or someone looks at me, they go, give me the elevator pitch of who Hasan Minhaj is. And I became a beneficiary of the success of Russell Peters, Mindy Kaling, Aziz Ansari, Maz Jobrani, all these people that came before me that were able to pop and resonate in popular culture. People were able to kind of identify me and go, oh yeah, he's the young political, millennial version of those, comedic voices that came before him. So I lucked out in that way. And so that is how I was able to break into the industry. I was only able to pitch and really get my stuff through or get my artistic bills through Congress once there were other voices that were able to resonate and break through. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what Russell Peters did. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what Mindy Kaling did with the Mindy Project. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what Aziz Ansari did with Master of None. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the work that Maz Jobrani did with Axis of Evil Comedy. All these giants came before me and kind of paved a road. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what Kumail Nanjiani did with his film Big Sick. So I became a beneficiary of their success, and they kept kind of breaking barriers for me. But I'll be honest with you, like this moment, I remember it was 2004. I was outside of Holiday Cinema in Davis, California, and I saw the movie poster for Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. And so I saw Kal Penn and I saw John Cho on a movie poster for a stoner comedy. And I remember buying a ticket. It was a hot summer day, like 106 degrees. You go inside Holiday Cinema just to escape the heat. And I saw all these people laughing in the movie theater at this stoner comedy with 2 Asian American characters, and they weren't typecast or stereotypical in their sort of nature and their jokes. And I just remember being like, I cannot believe this is happening. I'm rooting for these guys, but why are you guys all rooting for? And it was just this like moment where I saw 2 things happen. I saw 2 characters that looked like me, that had a similar background to me, and I saw them winning in a commercially viable format. And again, that happened just during a powerful moment in my life. I was just starting to do stand-up comedy, and they represented a possibility to me. So possibility means a lot. Seeing something on screen that you see yourself in, it means a lot because it lets you know it's possible. It signals to the industry that it is possible, because at the end of the day, the industry, they are just, again, they're a reactionary body of people that are reacting to commercially viable product. So if they see that works commercially, they're like, oh, replicate that. Like we need another version of that thing,
Do you feel, and I'm going to be honest here, as a Davisville, do you feel that you and I are more educators than performers, or are we using this path to teach others that it's okay to not understand everything, but let me tell you about my story, or you tell your audience about your story and how you relate to what's going on around you. Do you think that is really what you and I are finding our core purpose?
Yeah, for me, Steven, I mean, some of the core emotions I'm just trying to like convey and through my work is respite, relief, understanding, and enjoy. Like it's really those things. Like I want people to come when they're watching me on stage, or when they're watching me, you know, on a late night appearance, or they're watching me on Patriot Act. Again, I want them to feel a sense of comfort. Like, hey, like this guy, you know, the world is this confusing, scary place. On his show, he was able to break things down in a way that made me feel a little bit less crazy. It made me feel more sane or comfortable or
Right.
in addition to that, like he was just a really good time. He was really funny. He was really smart and quick and witty. And so one of the things that I found is when it comes to media itself, you can, you know, I usually found it to be in two buckets. You can either, you know, stuff that really resonates is stuff that either purely entertains, or it educates. Some of the what I learned at the Daily Show, you know, I did 4 years there. That was kind of like my comedy satire undergrad. Is that when things are firing at its best, it does both seamlessly. It educates while it entertains. And Jon Stewart was such a Jedi master of that. That's why I call him Jewish Yoda. Like the dude had just really learned how to do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders anytime I'm able to do that. I can only touch those moments, just like, you know, I'm still not at that level yet, but I can like graze that at times, and that's what I aspire to do.
I think it provided you a platform to be yourself. I don't think that John or Trevor would ever really tell you how to not be yourself, because they seem, and I haven't met them yet, but I know Trevor is very supportive of disability inclusion, but they seem to be more evolutionary.
Yeah, and one of the things that I loved is, you know, I was just this kid from Davis. I thought I would join the show and they would give me all these notes on how to perform, how to act, how to put together a monologue, how to put together a chat on the Daily Show. They were just like, hey, just bring out whatever's in you. I hired you to be a part of the show because of who you are. Like that out into the show, and that was what was awesome about them. I always thought I would get this like note from the mountaintop. They would descend from the mountaintop and they go, hear ye, like this is how you perform comedy. It wasn't like that at all.
I know the higher ups always can and will do that. And it's always good to align yourself with people that understand and respect where you're coming from, because, you know, let's face it, the industry, and we've seen this during award season, is that the industry wants something different.
Sure.
They don't want to see, you know, the same thing, but with a different person. They want to see somebody that takes risks, that says their view in a professional way, and lets the audience digest what it means to them. And then you figure out, oh, okay, so that's where we're pivoting as a society. And I think when the industry keeps us in a box, the audience doesn't see themselves.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. So I was to ask you, I asked all my special guests this question. Now, you're a comedian, and that's one part of the industry. But like a couple of years ago, you and I in the industry, we were bombarded about Oscars so white and underrepresentation.
Sure.
And to our viewers, it's not about black or white. It's about all shades of color and communities. And just so you know, I haven't spoken with you yet privately, but
right.
For the disability community, we're about 20 to 25% of the world's population. Here in Hollywood, we only comprise 2.5% of the parts, and 95% of those actors that play people with disabilities are able-bodied. What is your view as a young peer of mine about where we were a couple of years ago and where we are today?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that a lot of people who are maybe not a part of the entertainment industry, but they're like adjacent to it or they're fans of it and they don't understand like, hey, why is this controversy such a big deal? I'll just kind of give you, and you've been in this business a long time, a peek behind the curtain. Honestly, those little trophies, they're insignificant in and of themselves. They don't mean anything. Like, it's actually kind of funny. If you look at like the bottom of an Emmy or the bottom of like a Peabody or whatever, you can actually just see like the factory in Hawthorne in which they were made. Oh yeah, there's some, they're made in the same factory that like a Little League trophy is made in. So the statue in and of itself is irrelevant. The Getty image of you on the red carpet is quite frankly irrelevant. Like at most, that's just something to just like satisfy your ego. The reason why it's significant, and for better or for worse, is that mark of excellence represents competency in the business, which means with that, physical gold talisman, you can open up the keys to the next levels. That's what it represents. So a friend of mine, Trayvon Free, who just recently won an Oscar for his short film, Two Distant Strangers, now because Trayvon won that Oscar, and I've known Trayvon since he was a writer at The Daily Show, really close friend of mine, amazing human being. Trayvon now has access to other opportunities that he didn't before. The talent was always inside of him. That trophy changed the conversation completely because it represents competence and excellence. And so one of the things, like I said, time and time again is, you're not going to get those chances unless you win, for whatever reason, those awards. There is no SAT for the entertainment industry. There is no like, hey, well, Steven got a 1580 on his ESAT, his entertainment SAT. Therefore, he's competent enough to direct this film or whatever. We have these very fuzzy, subjective kind of metrics called like hype and heat and awards that somehow determine the work that you get. So that is why those moments matter so much to people on the writing side, on the directing side, on the performing side, because a lot of times people know their access to top tier projects is determined by nominations and wins in that department, which is unfortunate,
Right. I know. I'm fortunate to have won an award, a communicator award for this show based on the content.
Yeah, and then you get to put it on your resume, and that begets like more opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's not really so much the physical award, because you're right, little people know that an Oscar is only worth $450 to make, but it's the recognition that what you're doing means something to somebody, and you just build upon that, and you do your best. It's not a perfect industry by any means, nor do I think it'll be perfect in our lifetime, but the more authentic you are with yourself and what you have to sell, the more opportunities come, because people like people who are different and have a purpose.
That's, like, I love that point, man. Like, when people ask me this question about what, how do you want Hollywood to look, and what type of stories do you want to see being made? Honestly, man, it goes back to the first open mics that I went to at the Brainwash Cafe in San Francisco. So if anyone here, has been to San Francisco, there used to be an open mic called the Brainwash Cafe. It was a laundromat, coffee shop, and open mic. And I would go to this open mic, and I would do this open mic with there'd be drag queens, there'd be homeless people that would get up and do time, there'd be people that are musicians that do music and comedy, there'd be poets, there'd be comedians. We were all, it reminded me of the X-Men. We're all these mutants, and everybody has a different superpower. Some people are like, oh, I shoot fireworks out of my hands. Oh, nice to meet you, Jubilee. Oh, I can shoot lasers out of my eyes. Oh, what's up, Cyclops? Oh, hey, like, I'm a poet. That's also a drag queen. Cool. What's going on? Like, everybody brought their flavor to it. Some people were great, some people weren't, but it was this really cool thing where I go, hey, we're just all artists, and we're bringing our unique worldview to this laundry. Right. And it made me feel like, oh, something new and innovative and awesome is happening here. And that's where I saw, Ali Wong for the first time, who's an amazing comedian. That's where I saw Brent Weinbach for the first time, amazing comedian. W. Kamau Bell for the first time, amazing comedian.
Oh, I love Kamau.
Yeah. And you see what I'm saying? Like, look at that just like that spectrum. Do you know what I mean? It's just they're so radically different.
Yeah.
And so that is my North Star about, like, hey, how do I participate in an industry that's more like the Brainwash Cafe? Now look, I don't want to be heckled. Like, the heckles were awful. Like but I'm talking about that feeling, that core community, you know. And I mean this in the most loving way. I mean this in the most loving way. We were all just a bunch of weirdos doing our thing, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, right?
Yep.
Because it energizes you. It makes you feel like we're all the same.
Totally.
We're different, but we're all crazy.
We're all nuts, dude. Like that's what I mean. Like, it didn't matter whether it was me doing my stand-up or Kamau getting up there and doing his thing. Ali would get up there and do her thing. I realized, like, oh, we're all just like seeking attention for 5 minutes. We have a story to tell, and we just want to be heard. So can you please stop drying your clothes right now and listen to my set? But yeah, man. I think also, for better or for worse, and Steven, you're actually in the belly of the beast. You're in, Southern California.
Yeah.
I think when capital and money gets involved, it gets complicated, and it becomes about selling Mountain Dew and moving tickets and commercials and those sort of things. And quickly, like, that core innocence of the Brainwash Cafe fades away.
Do you miss those opportunities, or do you still surprise some clubs unexpectedly? I know you're a young father with 2 babies now and a beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to something really big in a minute. But do you miss those intimate opportunities?
It's so funny that you say that, man. Like, yes. And it's funny that you say that, Steven. That's something that I'm doing right now. I'm doing these unannounced pop-in shows at small performing arts venues across the country. So literally, as we scheduled this yesterday, I flew in from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, right.
I performed at a really beautiful performing arts center in Winston-Salem. And and it was a small, 200-seat theater, and I did, like a 6-show run out there, and the community out there was amazing. And I keep remembering there's so many different Sacramentos across this country that need the support of people like me, Jim Gaffigan, touring comic, John Mulaney, touring comics that would normally do sometimes bigger venues. It's our job, these smaller venues really built us up to keep them alive. And not only that, man, there's a whole industry of people that are a part of this community, from lighters, gaffers, stagehands, people that work in the ticketing department. Like, there is a whole economy around, the performing arts, and it's our job to go back in and revitalize that. And I want to give a shout out to Dave Chappelle. Chappelle is still a person who has gone hard in the paint to support the live arts and save comedy clubs and really go there for
Yeah, he's always been doing that ever since I lived in DC during my White House years. There's a lot of guys and gals that continue to go back to the roots of their careers and ensure that these clubs and these special venues,
they just stay alive. They need to
survive. Survive. So you're Mr. Big Guy. Now I want you to tell our viewers about your big tour that I'll be at here in LA. So I hope to get backstage.
Hey, we got to make that happen. And by the way, Steven, I know this was a long con for you to get the backstage hookup. Maybe that's how this all went down. You didn't want to interview me. You just wanted the hookup to get some tickets.
No. I've been there, done that, but as a brother and as a little gift to Siva, my adopted Davis mother.
That's your adopted Davis mom. And by the way, we owe her a picture together. It's only right.
I know. And your dad too, but
yeah, Najmi doesn't get enough love. It's all for Seema.
I'll send you the picture because I have your number.
Yeah.
I'll send you the picture with your mom, and I love her to death. And I'll probably see her this Christmas.
Oh, amazing. That'll be great. And they're still in Rancho Cordova, so they're in Sacramento and they're holding it down there. They're speaking of which, it's so hot there right now. Like, she was telling me it's like 109 or something like that right now.
Yeah, I know. My sister lives in Arden Park.
Oh, wow.
Not too far away, but it's hot there. But okay,
let's get you want me to get into the show? So the show, this is my first tour and almost, my first big theater tour on almost 4 years. I'm doing this is the follow-up to Homecoming King. It's my next, my second, 1 hour, one-man show. It's called The King's Jester. And I've been working on it and writing it for the past 4 years. I was supposed to go out with it last year. But this is something that I've really spent a lot of time, working on the stories and the comedy and the stage design and the lighting design, all that sort of stuff. My next big project, really excited to show it to everybody and show it to the world. And I think, as this pandemic comes to an end and, the world begins to slowly open up, next year and late next year, I'll be on tour, and I can't wait for everybody to see it, man. I really have put so much work into this. And if Homecoming King kind of was my origin story, this really is the next chapter for me as an artist, really showing the world, hey, this is what I believe. This is my life. This is what I've been through. And this is why I believe what I believe. And so I'm really excited to show the evolution of me as a performer and as a comedian.
How can our viewers get tickets?
All right, so go to www.hasanminhaj.com. All the tour dates are listed there. Please, if you're watching this, do not give a penny to the secondary websites. I know there's a lot of bots that sometimes buy up tickets. What we're doing is I'm trying to add as many shows as possible to make tickets available at a fair and democratic price. So you'll notice that, you know, we've added a second LA show. We've added, you know, fourth, fifth, sometimes sixth shows in DC and in Chicago and San Francisco. And knock on wood, I'm going to be adding some more cities soon. I know there's been some demand. I know a bunch of people back in Sacramento and Davis are saying, yo, is NorCal not getting some love? Trust me, I'm working on it, and I'll be announcing, I'll be giving everybody a special announcement very, very soon.
Great. And I will make sure to put the website on this episode as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say in closing about the future and what you hope we can do either together or individually to make change? Because really, I think given the industry is trying to get back to some normalcy, is there anything that you would like to see developed as a creative aside from your one-man show?
Yeah, I get jazzed when I see projects that go, whoa, I've never seen the world that way before, or I've never told that story before. I've never heard that story before. It makes me feel, I feel all the emotions of what it means to be a human: jealousy, anger, envy, love, joy. Those, anytime I see that, that's what matters. And so anybody who's watching that's an up and coming artist, that is a new voice that you know feels like they have untapped potential, they have a story to tell in the world. Remember, the only thing that makes this whole thing kind of go round, this thing called show business, the bottom line is new ideas. So what you have inside of you actually does matter. As long as it's a new idea, it really does matter. And that's our job in and of itself as artists, is to present new ideas. That's what keeps me going, man. Like, it's what is a new story? What is a new idea or a new take or perspective or story that I can share with the world? And then I think the second thing for us to do as artists is, again, you know, the industry, unfortunately, the purse strings and the people that pull the strings, they're commercial animals. And so one of the things that I try to do is I try to vote with my time and I vote with my dollar. So
right.
if there is a show or a project that I really believe in, like, you know, best believe I'm swiping that, you know, I'm swiping that Amex for that video on demand or that movie ticket or for that show, to show people like, hey, I'm this is a vote of confidence from me saying I want to see more of this. And man, like, I can't tell you, like, I think, you know, the noise that some of the fans made when Homecoming King was first off Broadway, we had a small run at Cherry Lane Theater. We sold it out. We were able to do another off-Broadway run. People were voting with, you know, their butts in the seats and with their dollar. And people started to take notice. And so to anybody who did that for me, cannot tell you what that means to me. I know it felt like a small gesture, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, but it meant everything. And the people that have already, you know, decided to participate and come join and see my next show, it really does matter. And so that's something that I personally participate in, just, you know, for me personally. And I encourage everybody to do the same. And yeah, those are the two things. One is just, you know, a message of encouragement of, hey, you know, your story matters, because new ideas are the only thing that matter in this business. And then the second thing is that of how can we, you know, with autonomy and choice, make an active vote of confidence in the things that we want to see in the world.
Right. I totally agree with you. A lot is incumbent upon people like yourself and I to tell the stories that need to be told, be honest with our feelings so that others can see themselves in us, and hopefully, like you did at the Hill and I did at the White House, make a difference legislatively to make the laws and society better and freer for everybody, because everybody deserves to be where we are or where they want to be. But you need to know that no matter if you're in corporate America, politics, entertainment, like you and I are, it's a business.
Yep.
And people better not get into it thinking it's glitz, glam, and fame. It is a lot of work if you have something to sell.
Yep.
If you have the talent. And for you, being a comedian and a political spokesperson about what we face, and for me, not only as a former political, but an advocate for diversity and inclusion. It's a lot of work, but we love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I got fired from every other job that I had. So shout out to the South Davis Safeway where I got fired, and shout out to the South Davis Office Max where I got fired. So look, I wouldn't have any other job, man. I have no other discernible skills. So hey, yeah. So
it's all good, bro.
I'm gonna be rocking as the wheels fall off, man.
It's all good. So how's the family?
Yeah, you know, again, just like I think for as much as you know things are crazy in this world, I'm very lucky right now that Bina's healthy, the two kids are healthy. We made it through, you know, COVID. We didn't lose any family members. So look, man, I gotta take a moment to just say, like, hey God, thank you for giving me grace in that moment, because you didn't, you know, I know there are a lot of families out there that lost loved ones or that were really poorly affected. So I'm lucky that, you know, my parents were okay. My mom was able to maintain her employment. She's a state, you know, employee. She works at the VA in Sacramento up at Mather. So again, man, like, I'm just like humbled and blessed and grateful that we live to see another day, bro.
Yeah. I'm so happy, proud of you, bro. I'm glad that we finally connected. And I do honestly look forward to collaborating with you. And I am taking you out for dinner on October 16th. So, and get some overdue shots.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, listen, man, we owe Seema a photo. So at the very least, we're taking a photo, man.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Hasan. And best of luck as you embark on your tour.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Take care.
Peace. Be well.